Hi there, welcome to Sunset Birth. My name is Sophia. I'm a doula, childbirth educator, and mom of one. I am very excited to make this video because I'm going to be sharing my birth story. This is something that I've shared a couple times on different podcasts, but I really wanted to make my own video to kind of go into some details that I didn't share and yeah, just have my own. I haven't posted on here in like 2 years, but I'm really excited because as a first-time mom, I remember I was looking for positive birth stories on YouTube, and they surprisingly are very few and far between. And I also had a hard time finding first-time moms who were planning home births. So I hope that whether you're a first-time mom or this is not your first time and you're planning a home birth, that my story can just encourage you as a positive experience of a home birth with a midwife. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with sharing just a little bit about my pregnancy and why we chose to have a home birth. So I had a pretty uneventful overall pregnancy. I found out a few days after my missed period. I actually found out at work because I worked at a like a pro-life pregnancy care center, and we did pregnancy tests and ultrasounds all the time. And I was like, oh, like I am a couple days late, I might just go ahead and take a test. And I saw a very faint line at my work and all my coworkers were so excited. And I took a test the next morning just to be sure. I called one of my friends on the way home from work, like, I think I'm pregnant. And she was like, well, just take another test. And but I know it's like, no matter how faint the line, that doesn't mean you're pregnant. Was very excited, told my husband. We got our first ultrasound at 8 weeks and everything looked great. We told our family around Christmas time, and that was really fun and special. I did struggle in the first trimester with fatigue and nausea and vomiting. My nausea and vomiting lasted until 14, 15 weeks. I feel like everyone tells you that it stops at 12 weeks, but it did not stop for me. I was like, I was still throwing up once a day, or then it spaced out to once every few days. I don't know. It was just not a fun time. Moms who have gone through that, thankfully I didn't have HG or something where you're throwing up the whole time, but it was still really not fun because I really hate throwing up. And I dealt with some other things like UTIs and just weird kind of stuff. But after the first trimester, everything was super normal. So about 8 weeks along, we interviewed some midwives, and as a doula, I feel like I know a lot of midwives in the area. I wasn't, a stranger to a lot of them. So I picked kind of 3 that I thought that I would really want to go with. We met with one, and I just didn't feel that connection. And then I met with the second one, and my husband and I got back in the car and we were like, we don't even need to interview the third one. We just felt so much peace, and we really felt like the Holy Spirit was saying, this is who's supposed to be your midwife. We just felt super comfortable with her philosophy, and we aligned on so many things, and her presence just made me felt so calm and safe. And I knew that was something that was really important to me as a first-time mom, just someone who made me feel those things as I'm gonna give birth for the first time. And my husband, just after dating me, being married to me, he knows so much about birth, and he was very, very confident in our choice to have a home birth. I know for a lot of people that's not their story, their husband's maybe a little bit more hesitant, needs to kind of ask the midwife a lot more questions. But I was really lucky that as soon as we got pregnant, I was like, I really want to do a home birth, and my husband was like, oh, of course, so that was super, super awesome. Something I really didn't expect during my pregnancy was to have some fears and anxiety kind of creep in, and doubt that I was going to be able to handle the pain, that I was going to be able to have a home birth. I kind of got scared of, everything that could go wrong, which was really hard for me because I've been a doula for so long. I've seen almost 40 births now, and I know the process of birth, and I know that those complications are, while they can happen, are very rare. And I just felt like, you know, the enemy was kind of planting these seeds of doubt in my mind about birth and my baby and all this stuff. And it was really, really hard for me to overcome. I definitely had to delete social media a few times because I feel like the algorithm was like feeding me all these horror stories or yeah, just, you know, really tragic things. And I was like, this is not good for my mental state to be consuming all this content that is about, you know, stillborns or like things happening. And I was just like, ah. So I deleted social media for a time, which was good. Probably could have done it for longer, but it's hard. It's hard to fully go off social media. Writing them down, saying them out loud, really processing through them beforehand was really helpful. And also just replacing those fears with God's truth. So remembering, you know, those verses and how the Bible reminds us, do not fear, do not be afraid, for I am your God. Do not fear, do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I have redeemed you. Just all those truths that God speaks over us in scripture. I always found myself needing to literally post reminders of God's truth around my house. Writing birth affirmations, writing down scripture to combat all those fears and lies that were happening. And I hope that encourages any mom too who is maybe planning an out-of-hospital birth, who is very confident in that decision, but also it's okay and it's normal to have those fears come up, especially about the pain. I think the enemy was really trying to convince me, to have me doubt, like, you're not going to be able to handle it. This is going to be too hard for you. You can't do this, you know, all of that stuff. So a lot of my content, if you go on my Instagram or, you know, look at my other videos, is going to be really targeted at helping moms who are believers root themselves in God's truth to overcome those fears and anxieties that may come up. As someone who's been teaching childbirth education classes for multiple years, I've been a doula for almost 6 years now, which is crazy. I was so used to telling women, like, be prepared to go past your due date. And looking back, I kind of wish that I hadn't told family members and friends, like, my actual due date, like my 40-week date. I kind of wish that I had told them, like, my 42-week date, or just that I was due, you know, in a month. My due date technically was July 29th, but I had tried to tell people, like, oh, I'm gonna have the baby sometime in August, you know, but people weren't really satisfied with that answer. They really, really wanted to know a specific date. And I did cave at the beginning and I told people the actual date. So next time I definitely want to tell people my 42-week date, just so I don't have as much of the pressure going into it. But lo and behold, shocker, I did go past my due date. My husband and I actually planned a really fun date night for the actual due day, I guess. And that was really fun to, like, take my mind off of it, except it was so hot and in the summer, just late July, you know, kind of miserable. Had a lot of swelling, stuff like that. Not terrible, but just I was uncomfortable, you know. And, you know, days pass and I'm still pregnant. And I just really struggled, just because I wasn't working, just being at home, waiting around for something to happen. So try to make myself busy, try to do some crafts, you know, write some birth affirmations, watch a really fun movie. My husband and I, actually the night before I went into labor, watched Father of the Bride, which is one of my favorite movies, and that kind of, you know, relaxed me, calmed me, all those things. And I went to bed that night, no signs of labor, and I rolled over as I was falling asleep, and I told my husband, I think August 5th is going to be this baby's birthday. And August 5th was that next day. And he was like, okay, sweetie, like, if you think so. And lo and behold, you will see what happens next. Well, lo and behold, I wake up around 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't remember exactly. And I had been used to getting up multiple times to go to the bathroom, to go pee. So I went to the bathroom, and I kind of felt like that feeling right when your period starts, like you just know that something shifted, but it was dark. And then I noticed I was like a tiny bit crampy, but I got in bed, I was still like half asleep. So I didn't really fully even wake up as I waddled to the bathroom and waddled back in bed. So I got back in bed, went to sleep, and then my alarm went off around 8 a.m. when we had my prenatal appointment with my midwife was at 9. So got up, went to the bathroom, and I noticed some bloody show. And bloody show is essentially a sign that your cervix is changing, because your cervix has so much, is so vascular, so it has lots of blood vessels. And when you start having like some softening of your cervix, it's normal to have some bloody show, so some like bloody discharge, or when you lose your mucus plug, that like plug in your cervix that's been protecting baby this whole pregnancy for bacteria and anything. So I think I had lost my mucus plug, saw that bloody show, and I was just praising God, because I had just been wanting like something, like a sign to just hold on to, that my body was doing something, that my body was starting to, you know, gear up, I guess, even though I know that just because you lose your mucus plug and have bloody show, you know, you could still be pregnant for another week. But I just felt so much comfort in having a sign, like, okay, I think this is happening soon. So, you know, I get in the car, my husband and I are driving to the appointment, and I get there and she's like, how are you? And I was like, well, things might be happening, it's exciting. And you know, she was good at like talking me down, like, you know, being excited with me, but also being like, this might not be it quite yet, because I was having some like mild crampy kind of contractions on the way there. So she was like, okay, you know, I want you to go to the chiropractor and get adjusted, just to kind of help baby get into maybe a better position, because he was, I think, towards the right, which ideally you want baby to be like more towards the left, like the back on the left. And seeing this chiropractor throughout my pregnancy since like about 20 weeks. And so it was really easy. I just did a walk-in appointment there. So we did that, and then my husband and I went and got brunch, and that was really special because it ultimately was going to be the last date night or date that we had, just the two of us. That was really special. I was still kind of having mild contractions like every like 8 to 12 minutes or so. And you know, I'm really, really glad that I ate a big meal, because foreshadowing for labor, I was not able to keep food down very well. So grateful that I ate like a big meal. We had eggs Benedict, which is my favorite. So we ate and then went home, and the plan was for me to just take a nap and rest as soon as we got home. So on the way back, I started having contractions that were about like 5 to 7 minutes apart. They were definitely getting closer together. And I was timing them, but I really probably shouldn't have been timing them, because my mind was just going like, oh my gosh, like I think I'm in labor, you know, all this stuff. So then halfway through the drive home, I stopped timing them. And as soon as we got home, got in the shower, and that was so nice. And I do remember that shower just being like so special, because it was like just me. I was listening to my like Christian hypnobirthing tracks. She has a track called Encouraging Scriptures, where she's just reading scripture aloud, and that was really encouraging for me. I would listen to that every night before going to bed, in my pretty much my 3rd trimester. So I was playing that, like the hot water, like I had essential oils going, and it was just so relaxing and so exciting. And I was just feeling my belly being like, this is probably the last time that I'm gonna really like appreciate, like, you know, being pregnant and all this stuff. And yeah, it was just super special. And then I got in bed and I tried to sleep, because I tell every mom, go to sleep, because you don't know how long your labor is going to be. So you want to make sure you get as much rest as possible. And it was really hard for me to actually fall asleep, but I'm still super glad that I was able to rest and just be horizontal for, I think, yeah, about an hour or so before things started ramping up. As I was laying there, I stopped being able to really breathe through contractions. I actually had to start making noise and really focusing on them. So I took that as my sign, like, okay, I felt like I need to get up and move around. So I went out to my living room. I did some like spinning babies exercises, which spinning babies is like helping baby get into the right place in the pelvis and just kind of relaxing your pelvic floor muscles. So I did that, and then I was on my birth ball for a while, and I started watching Gilmore Girls. That's one of my favorite TV shows, and I had on my birth plan like, okay, in early labor, I'm going to watch Gilmore Girls because I know myself and I can get really in my head about things, and I was like, I'm going to distract myself and watch my favorite show. So that's what I did, and my husband was just kind of getting the house ready, you know, seeing what I needed, cleaning the kitchen, doing the dishes, all the stuff. And then I was like, I should probably eat a snack. So I had my husband get me some cheese and crackers, and, you know, I ate that, and then, you know, call my doula because she was about 45 minutes away, and I kind of gave her the update. And I was kind of in denial that I was even in labor, which is kind of a trend through my labor, that I was just in denial. But yeah, I felt like I should still keep her updated, and she was like, oh, but like your contractions are about 4 minutes apart, just like while we've been on the phone, and like listening to me through contractions, because you can really tell where you're at, like if a mom is able to talk through the contraction, or if she really has to focus and breathe through the contraction. You can kind of tell if things are happening. And I was like, I think I'm just not ready for you to come quite yet, but I'll definitely shoot you a text when I'm ready for you. And she was like, totally fine. And then about an hour after that, at like 5 p.m., I'll put the text thread somewhere here, but I texted her. I was like, so I think I'm ready for you. I felt really nauseous, and I threw up all my cheese and crackers, and I did a contraction on the toilet. And as doulas, we call the toilet the dilation station, because it's just so much more intense when you're sitting on the toilet. Things are ramping up. I think I would really like my doula to be here. And then she said that she was heading our way. By the time my doula arrived, I had this realization, like, oh my gosh, this is real. This is real. I'm actually in labor, and the only way out is through. Like, there's no turning back now. And I feel like most women will have that kind of moment of realization where it's like, oh my gosh, the only way that I'm gonna get through this is to give birth to my baby. So it was really exciting, but it was also very intimidating to see her walk through the door. But I love her. We're really, really good friends. I love my doula. So it was really exciting that she was there, and she helped me do some spinning babies positions and use her rebozo. It's like a Mexican shawl. I'm gonna insert maybe a video here, and that was really helpful just to make me comfortable, and I could tell that it was helping my son kind of move through my pelvis. And then I started only really wanting to be upright and leaning over the counter and swaying. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, I was using gravity, you know, to help him get lower. But I was really thinking that. It was just the only thing that felt good. I was like holding my combs through the contractions. They were getting intense. I mean, they were intense at the peak, but I feel like they were still manageable, where I was like, I'm not ready for my midwife to come yet. Because my doula kept asking, like, do you want me to call her? Like, you know, what's the update? And she ended up calling my midwife and kind of giving her the lowdown on what's going on. And, you know, my midwife was like, I can come now, I can come in an hour or two. And I was like, just come in an hour or two. And then after that, I started having contractions that were really, really intense, really close together. And I told my doula, can you call her back and tell her I actually want her to come now? So I changed my mind, and I decided that I wanted her to come now. So it was about 8 p.m. by the time that my midwife and my birth photographer, who's also one of my good friends, who's a doula in the area, came, and also my midwife student. So it was kind of surreal because we had our like birth prep appointment a few weeks prior, and just to see everyone like be in my house to help me, you know, have this baby was really exciting, but also just, yeah, very, very surreal to have everyone ready and there. I often talk in my childbirth classes and to my doula clients how anytime, you know, people are watching you or you change an environment or something changes in your birth space, that can kind of cause contractions to stall. I definitely don't think my labor stalled, but I think I was kind of getting a little bit self-conscious about like, oh, if they're there, I really have to be in labor. Because, you know, first time moms tend to have longer labors. I was like, what if they're here too early? What if I'm not really dilated at all? And I chose not to have a cervical exam at this point, even though I probably could have. And I think part of it was that I was really nervous that I wouldn't be dilated. And I think that was kind of a fear that I had throughout my labor, because I was remembering, you know, births I've attended where a mom is acting like she's in transition or close to having the baby and she's only like 4 or 5 centimeters dilated or something like that. Like she's acting like she's in labor, but she's not. And I feel like that was the thing that I was struggling with. Because obviously I had been to so many births, but I never experienced it for myself. So I was, yeah, really doubtful on what I was feeling and if this was like actually labor. But at 9 p.m. I got in the tub and the tub felt amazing. They call it nature's epidural for a reason. The warm water felt so nice, and we don't have a bathtub in our house. So I feel like I got in the birth tub, like the inflatable tub, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, because I wasn't able to really like take baths a lot when I was pregnant. But once I got in the bath, things got way more intense where I started throwing up very consistently. Like anytime I would drink something, even like coconut water or have like applesauce, it would come up like 10 minutes later. And I felt like that contributed to me being so tired at the end. Like especially pushing, I was like, oh, I just haven't been able to keep food down, and your uterus is a muscle at the end of the day. So I tried to have popsicles, electrolytes, you know, all the things. And that fear and doubt was still continuing. Like, am I even dilated? You know, all of that stuff. And I had the thought when I was in the tub about an hour or two later, I was like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I actually had the thought like, you know, I think I want an epidural. Like I don't actually, but I think I want one, or can see why women choose to get the epidural. And that's kind of like a hallmark sign that you're in transition, kind of that 8 to 10 centimeter dilation. And my birth team and my husband were so encouraging, just saying like, you can do this. You're already doing this. Like you're so strong. And I was like, thank you, you know? And I remember looking to Lauren, my birth photographer, and I was like, do you think I'm in transition? Like, I don't know. And yeah, I feel like I was just getting to the point where I was like, I'm ready to meet my baby. And around midnight, I kind of got to the point where I just really needed to know where I was at. I really wanted a cervical check. So I got one, my midwife checked me, and I was 9 centimeters with an anterior lip. So I just had like a little bit of cervix left. And that was so exciting for me. I was so encouraged. I was like, my body's doing this. I just really gained a lot of confidence in my body that it was doing what it was supposed to do, and that I was in transition and I was getting close to pushing and then meeting my baby. And my midwife suggested, you know, maybe I get out of the tub because my legs were kind of getting tired because I had been, you know, up on my knees or lunging for the past few hours. So I got up, I went to the bathroom first, and those contractions on the toilet were so intense. I feel like now as a doula, I'm like, I already apologize when I tell moms like, I'm sorry, but like for progress, let's really get on the toilet. And now I know what those feel like. They're so intense. But what made that time so special is I remember my husband and I looking at each other, and he checked his phone because I didn't really know what time it was. I kind of entered like this time warp, and we realized that August 6th was going to be our baby's birthday, and that was really exciting because I was like, I have to have my baby tomorrow. Like I can't still be in labor, you know, 24 hours from now. Lay down on the bed with a peanut ball in between my knees, and these contractions were so intense. And I feel like if I didn't have that exam where I could remind myself, like, you're almost there, you're almost fully dilated, like you're almost gonna meet your baby, I don't know how I would have gone through this like hour and a half. But it was so much pressure because I think my son was starting to like descend down and like rotate and all that stuff. And it was so intense. And I started thinking my water bag was coming through or like bulging because I just felt so much pressure. My midwife was like, I can definitely check you again. I didn't really feel that on my first exam, but I did have her check me again and I was complete. So I was 10 centimeters, but she did feel that bag of water just kind of like descending down into the birth canal first. And I think that's why I just felt so much pressure. And I decided to have her break my water. Usually I'm very pro having your water break spontaneously, but I felt very empowered. I felt like I really wanted that in the moment. Like I knew the risks of infection and stuff, but I was like, I'm already complete, you know, I'm about to start pushing. I really wanted my water to be broken because I feel like that just would make it go much faster, and that is what happened, which is very exciting. But I remember before my midwife broke my water, I said out loud, I was like, I'm really scared, because I had heard so much that when you break your water, or when your water breaks, it gets so much more intense and you feel like you can't do it. And so before she broke it, I was like, I just feel really scared. Like I'm scared because I know as soon as you break it, like it's just gonna be full steam ahead. And my birth team was also just amazing. I feel so blessed that I chose a midwife that I really trust. I had a doula who was so encouraging, and my husband was just an amazing support just being there. I didn't really start to feel the urge to push, but I was kind of like starting to practice push, or like kind of see how it felt. And I started doing hands and knees on the bed, but I felt like I was kind of sinking into the bed and I didn't really have a lot like oomph to my pushes, I guess. And I really did want to try to have a water birth. So I decided to get back in the tub, and one thing that I didn't know that my husband told me later was that the pool water had like kind of gotten cold, so they were like dumping out like the water, and then we were boiling like pots of water on the stove and like, you know, pouring it in. But I was so in labor land that I did not notice all that going on. But it was so nice to get into the water, and this was around like 3:30 in the morning. And yeah, pushing was really hard for me because I feel like I didn't really connect with that urge to push, like I mentioned. And it wasn't until kind of the very end where I had that moment where I'm like, okay, I'm not actually actively pushing. My body's just kind of gutturally like grunting and pushing for me. And I remember having the thought, like, I don't know how I can open up anymore. I don't know how this baby's gonna fit out of my pelvis. And I feel like I had the thought, like, I feel like his head is out, but I know that it's definitely not out yet. Well, I felt like I was pushing for hours. I actually ended up only pushing for an hour, which I think the average for a first-time mom is to push for 2 hours. But it is just crazy when you're in labor, just the time warp you go into. I was like, I felt like I was pushing for eons. I was like, this is never gonna end, all of that. And I kind of reached the point where I was like, I don't know how much longer I can push. I was really getting tired, and I think not having food and electrolytes and all that stuff stay in was kind of catching up to me. And my midwife suggested to like put my finger in to kind of see if I could feel baby's head. And I was able to feel his like squishy little head. I can't even like describe it. It's like, I don't know. It was like all squishy, and like I could feel his hair and stuff. And that made me so excited. I was like, okay, like I can do this. He is right there. He is so close. I couldn't believe that I was gonna meet my baby soon. Ended up pushing him out in kind of like an upright, half kneeling squat kind of position. And as soon as I felt his head come out, I reached down and he had so much hair, and in the water it was like flowing, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, he has so much hair. And I know that I probably should have waited until the next contraction to push, but it was just so intense and so much pressure that I just ended up pushing him out, and I think that maybe factored into why I had a tear. Spoiler, but yeah, I did have a 2nd-degree tear. But I didn't feel it. I mean, it was just like magical when I was able to pull him up to my chest, and just that moment was so amazing. Like, I can't even describe the feeling of meeting your baby who has been in your belly for 9 months, who you've like bonded with, who's half you and half the person you love. Like, oh, it's just truly a miracle. Just thank God that I was able to have the birth that I wanted. And I had this moment where I brought him up to my chest and I just looked around at my husband, at my birth team, and I was like, this was the birth that I dreamed of. And I'm just so grateful that it was possible, and that I got to meet my baby in the comfort of my own home and in the safety of my own home, and yeah, have the birth experience that I really wanted. Overall, it was such a great birth experience. I just remember saying over and over after he came out, I was like, that was so hard. I love him so much. That was so hard. I love him so much. Just over and over again. And just being able to like catch him and like bring him up to my chest was just such a special experience. We did skin to skin for almost an hour in the tub, and we waited about 40 minutes to cut the cord, and we decided to cut it because my placenta wasn't really like kind of coming out. I think part of that was like my uterus was kind of tired because I wasn't able to keep food down. So we ended up getting out of the tub and I went to the bed, and that's when I delivered my placenta. I was so grateful to eat and drink again after labor. My doula made me like a little charcuterie board and had me drink some electrolytes, and that was really, really amazing. It tasted so good. And I was just snuggling my baby. They gave us a tour of the placenta, kind of showed me all the things. We didn't end up doing anything with our placenta, but it was still cool to see it. And then my husband got to do some skin to skin, and my midwife did the newborn exam, and he ended up being 9 pounds 4 ounces. So he was a pretty big boy. And then she also assessed me for the tear, and yeah, I did have a 2nd-degree tear, but my tissues were pretty swollen. So my midwife was like, you know, I could try and repair this, but I don't think I would be able to do as good of a job because she couldn't really like approximate or like bring together the tissues, I guess. Midwives can do repairs at home for 1st and 2nd-degree tears, but she was like, I just want you to get a really good repair done for your next baby, for the health of your pelvic floor, all that stuff, which I did appreciate. So she was like, I think it would be best if you went to the hospital for that. And I was really bummed about that at first. I was like, I really wanted to just be like tucked in my own bed and be at home, but I know that it was the right decision. So it was about 4 hours from his birth. He was born at 4:30 a.m. and we left around 8:30 a.m. to go to the hospital. Midwives and doula, they cleaned up the house, which was amazing. Yeah, deflated the birth tub, got everything packed away. So I went to the hospital and yeah, had him skin to skin with me for the most part. And while we were there, one of the nurses said, oh, I'm a little bit concerned about your baby's breathing. Like, he's kind of sounding grunty. Do you mind if I just put like a pulse oximeter on him to just make sure his oxygen is okay? And I was like, yeah, I mean, we're already here. Like, that's totally fine. Because he wasn't technically like a patient, but she was just a little bit concerned about his breathing. So we ended up doing that, and his oxygen wasn't amazing. It was in the 80s, like high 80s. And later we thought it was probably because he maybe aspirated a little bit of fluid, or was just like working out some fluid from his lungs. But the nurse recommended that we take him, I guess like we had to go like through the emergency department to kind of get him admitted, I guess. And that was also scary because I was like, we didn't want to be in the hospital, and now that we are, and I don't know what's happening with my baby. So we were separated for a little bit, and then once everything was done with me, the nurse wheeled me down to meet my son and my husband in the emergency department, and we were just observing him for a while, and his oxygen did come up, which was great. But we had a NICU nurse come down and kind of pressure us into, or like trying to convince us that we should admit him into the NICU, and that was something that I really felt like we didn't need to do. But I think also because we were having a home birth, or we had a home birth, they were a little bit more concerned, even though I told them all the things, that I was very, very low risk, that everything was normal. Yeah, and I told them, you know, I'm also a nurse, like I know what to look for as far as, you know, respiratory stuff. And the NICU nurse said back, well, there's also a lot of things you don't know, like how you're holding him, for example, is like the wrong way to hold him. And I was just in shock that she even would say something like that, especially as a nurse, like a medical professional. I was just thinking like, what on earth? Like, that is so rude to say to someone who just had a baby and I had not slept. I was like, had given birth, had gone to the hospital to get my repair done, and this was like not part of the plan. And it was just, it was very, very stressful. So we got home and it was about 4 p.m. So about 12 hours from when he was born. So that was just kind of a lot to be like not part of the plan, I guess. But ended up still being fine. And then we had our lactation consultant come to our house. I had met with her when I was pregnant and had her come, and that was such a game changer because he ended up having a really severe tongue tie and a lip tie, so we kind of struggled with breastfeeding at the beginning, but now he's almost 7 months and we're still exclusively breastfeeding, which just goes to show like breastfeeding is natural and amazing and there are so many benefits, but it's okay if it takes a lot of work and sacrifice and, you know, that learning curve at the beginning. So just to any mom who maybe is worried about that, you know, there's so much support that you can get. Lots of things are covered by insurance nowadays, and yeah, don't hesitate to get help even if you don't necessarily think that you need it. I think yeah, having breastfeeding support is huge, and I wish more women were able to have access to that. Thank you for watching this far. If you've got this far in the video, I know I've been talking for a while, but I just pray and hope that this encouraged any mom who is planning a home birth or just a birth in general as a first-time mom maybe, and just unsure of what to expect or what the experience is going to be like. Yeah, and I just want you to know that it's normal to have some fears and anxieties come up in pregnancy as you are preparing for birth, but that two things can coexist at the same time. You can experience that fear, but also be excited and have peace. And a lot of my content is geared around how do we feel peaceful, prepared, and confident for birth. And that is my heart for whoever is watching this. I have a lot more resources. I'm launching a childbirth education class this year, an online class for moms who want a Christ-centered birth, no matter where you're giving birth. And I really want moms to be able to overcome their fear of birth as they go into this experience, just being open and surrendering to whatever the experience may be. So yeah, check out my Instagram. It's at Sunset Birth. Subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be starting to post more regularly, just pregnancy, birth, and motherhood content from a Christian mom perspective. So yeah, subscribe, like, leave me a comment. Leave me a comment if you're pregnant, how many weeks are you, if you've given birth before, what was your experience. I would love to hear your story. All right, see you next time.